Vote 2016, the Palm Beach County Commission District 7 Democratic Debate, representing cities throughout our community, including West Palm Beach, Riviera Beach, all the way down to Delray Beach. The candidates for tonight's debate are Mac Bernard. Bernard is an attorney, small business owner, and former elected official. He served on the Delray Beach City Commission, then won a special election to the Florida House of Representatives. Lawrence Gordon, the Vice Mayor of Haverhill. He served 3 terms as council member. Gordon recently retired from practicing law after 25 years. Robbie Littles is a former West Palm Beach County Commissioner, former risk manager for Riviera Beach, guidance counselor, and a veteran civil rights advocate. Priscilla Taylor is a small business owner, former port commissioner and chairwoman, former state representative, the first African-American mayor of Palm Beach County, and has served as a county commissioner for the past 6 years. And the moderator for tonight's debate, CBS 12's 25-year veteran anchor, Liz Quirantes.
Welcome to the Palm Beach County Commission District 7 Democratic Debate. I'm Liz Quirantes. The primary is August 30th, so for the next hour, we will be asking our candidates questions, including questions we've collected from leaders throughout our community. We are also asking questions from you. If you still want to submit a question, tweet us using the hashtag CBS12Vote. This debate is also live streaming on our website, cbs12.com, for a full hour. That's where you will also see each candidate's closing statements. Now, the first question goes to the candidate who won the coin toss, and each candidate has 45 seconds to answer this first question. The first question is from Kelly Smallridge from the Business Development Board of Palm Beach County. She asks, what types of businesses do you think should be recruited to Palm Beach County? Ms. Taylor, you won the coin toss, so you will begin. You have 45 seconds to answer.
Thank you. In view of the fact that we have scripts here and we put a lot of money into scripts, I think that we should definitely work on recruiting in the biomedical field. Also, we should look at manufacturing so that we can make sure that everyone has an opportunity to get hired here in the area. But we should not just discourage any business that we feel that could be beneficial to us here in Palm Beach County. You know, you look at the insurance industries, which definitely have areas where they are set up to have corporate offices. It would be wonderful if we had some of that here, but definitely we need to focus, I feel, on the biomedical and make sure that we have individuals trained so that they can take advantage of that particular field.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard, you have 45 seconds to answer that question.
Thank you very much. I believe that we do need high-tech jobs in Palm Beach County, but in order for us to bring the jobs here in Palm Beach County, we do need to improve our education because some of the businesses are not coming to Palm Beach County because our education system needs to be improved. So I believe that we have to work on our education system for us to bring the businesses here to Palm Beach County.
All right. Mr. Gordon, you have 45 seconds to answer that question.
Thank you. Right now, there's a serious problem with low-paying jobs here. So I think we need to focus on those jobs that are going to pay a living wage. And when I say a living wage, I'm referring to something $14 an hour or higher. Now, we all know that small businesses is the engine that drives this country. So we need to bring as many small businesses as we can, medical, professionals. But I think the key is jobs that pay well. We have plenty of jobs that pay $7, $8, $9 an hour. We don't need more of that. We need jobs that are going to give a living wage so our people can go forward.
All right. Mr. Littles, you have 45 seconds.
Thank you. I think we need obviously high-tech jobs, medical research jobs, but more critically, I think we need manufacturing jobs that are job-intensive, that require a lot of labor, a lot of people. I think the living wage, quite frankly, should be plus $15 an hour, more in $17, $18 an hour. But so I think it needs to be business, manufacturing that's job intensive and requires really significant manpower.
All right. Ms. Taylor, you have a 30-second rebuttal or response to anything anyone has said.
Well, I agree that we do need the high tech, but I still stress the biomedical in that we do have this engine here in Palm Beach County where we have a significant investment. But the training is certainly necessary. I do feel good that we have the colleges, universities on board, training and offering medical courses and other technical courses to make sure that individuals are qualified to do these jobs. But certainly we cannot just pigeon ourselves into one area for, for jobs. I mean, with building, construction is still jobs. But I do feel in recruiting, the biomedical would be great.
Thank you. Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds.
Like, even though we bring the biomedical to Palm Beach County, what we have to make sure is that we have corporations who are good corporate citizens that are going to hire the diversity of Palm Beach County, not just bringing people at the entry level, but to have leadership that addresses our whole community, our minority community, from the very top end to the very bottom.
All right, Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds.
I think we should focus on situations that are going to generate quite a few jobs. There are a lot of things that we have here that nobody else has. And the water, the marine focus, we need to get our people trained, ready to go, so that when these big companies come in, they want to build yachts, clean yachts, whatever they want to do, we should be ready. So I think we need to focus on training, getting our people ready, prepared to step in and do the job.
All right, Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds.
Again, I think it needs to be, whatever industry comes here, it needs to be job intensive. But more important, the county needs to require local hiring. There needs to be local hiring preference, so the county does not spend money attracting businesses here, and then they import employees. If the county is going to spend money through the Business Development Board and bringing them here, the county should require, in the first instance, that they hire locally.
All right, thank you. Let's go now to our next question. It is from Ray Whiteley from Black Matters Vote. He's the founder there. And he asks, what will you do to ensure that the Black community will benefit from any development or redevelopment initiatives that are publicly subsidized? Mr. Bernard, we'll begin with you. You have 45 seconds.
Well, first of all, we're not doing enough for our minority and our Black businesses. We're not moving quickly. We've been doing a disparity study for the past 4 years that's taking way too long. And so we've missed a lot of opportunities, such as even with the scripts, Major League Baseball, and even the sales tax initiative, where the current commission could have had the opportunity to make minority businesses to be able to get a piece of the pie, and we failed at that.
All right, thank you. Mr. Gordon, you have 45 seconds.
The disparity study is supposed to come out in October, but we shouldn't be waiting around on that disparity study. We don't know what it's going to say. It could say there is a problem. It could say there is not a problem. So we need to move forward on our own. We need to look at making sure that we're helping Black businesses get certified, making sure that we're assisting Black businesses in getting the bonding and insurance and those kind of things that they need to qualify for these jobs. And I also think the county should look at breaking these big jobs down into smaller numbers, 25 million, 50 million, so forth and so on. So a lot more companies can qualify, not just at the 90, 80, 100, 150 million like we're currently dealing with.
Thank you. Mr. Littles, you have 45 seconds.
Any jobs that result from expenditures of county funds, county should require the corporations, the businesses, to hire, utilize a minimum number of Palm Beach County citizens, more specifically, a minimum number of African American and minority citizens. Minimum for me, given the years upon years upon years of mistreatment, no treatment, ill treatment, it should be in the 35 to 37% range. That's minimum for me. If the business are going to agree to hire 35, 37%, don't spend the money on it.
Ms. Taylor, you have 45 seconds.
Thank you. The county realizes that we do need to do more as far as the minority hires in the Black community. We have the disparity study, and it has been 3 to 4 years. However, no one can just sit here and say how long it takes an attorney to go to each business and each company and find out the problem and the issue. So it's not just as simple as us just talking about it. But until that study is done, as far as set-asides, we cannot do that because we have a legal mandate that we have to follow. Now, I do agree with the unbundling, which is something that we are beginning to do now. The county already had contracts that were for $100,000 or $300,000 or less that we would give to minority companies. But the thing is that minority companies would still have to be certified and go through the process in order to be considered.
All right, we'll begin with the rebuttals now and responses. Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds.
First of all, when you're dealing with these contracts, these big projects, I believe that we have to go into a model that's called CM at risk, which is construction management at risk, where our minority businesses, small businesses are able to partner with some of the big businesses, so in that way we are full partners in these projects. So that's something that I would do as a county commissioner, is for us to do CM at risk projects, so in that way it allows us to participate and to have ownership opportunities in these projects.
All right, Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds.
Until we get the results of this diversity study, we are basically governed by a 1989 case, the City of Richmond versus Croson, which basically says you can't set aside for specific groups. So, as I said, we've got to find a way to get this done without waiting on that set aside. We can partner with the Black Chamber, for example, to make sure that black businesses are getting certified. Atlanta and Miami have good programs where they're doing things to get more business to minority-owned companies, and we should follow suit.
Right. Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds.
You know, it's criminal that we are at this point, because the county commission could have piggybacked over the Palm Beach County School District when it did its disparity study and subsequently set up this program that's operating reasonably well at this point. The county commission inside of the last, 6-10 years chose not to do that. So at this point, it shouldn't be a matter of whether the law exacts that you do what is morally right. The county commission should exact upon itself to do what's morally right.
Ms. Taylor, you have 30 seconds.
I am confident that the county is doing what it is supposed to do as far as trying to get the minority contracts. We must have the disparity study, and we must have the results of it. We are listening to our contractors, because we have contractors who are contacting us and telling us things, and we're listening to them. But as far as the set-asides, it's set aside, in 1989 was when the MWBE program that we did have sunsetted, because there was lack of interest at that time, but people did not come to push to keep that, to keep it going. That's why the small business program was started. Now we have the small business, we require local hire, and we have to keep working on it, and that is what we're doing.
All right, thank you to all of our candidates. We are going to take a quick 2-minute break. Stay with us. We have more questions for our candidates coming up. Watching CBS 12 special of the Palm Beach County Commission District 7 Democratic debate. We are asking candidates questions that we've collected from local community leaders. You can also participate by tweeting your questions with the hashtag CBS12Vote. Now, to our next question. It's from Chuck Shaw, the Palm Beach County School Board Chair, and he is asking, how would you approach the school district's issues of crime and prevention? Mr. Gordon, we'll begin with you for 45 seconds.
I think the first thing I would do is what I've already done, and that is meet with each member of the school board to learn what the challenges are, what the problems are. Then if we're talking about crime on campuses, for example, they have their own police force, the school district does. And of course, the county is represented by the sheriff. We could certainly urge those two to get together to see what we could do to help. I mean, obviously, we don't want to step on each other's toes, but generally positive things come from cooperation. So I would urge the powers that be as far as law enforcement goes with the county to get together with the school board and see what we can do to make things better.
All right. Mr. Littles, you have 45 seconds.
In the first instance, I would require that the school police department be adequately trained, because there are a lot of instances where the activity of the students should not elevate to the point of being what's called a crime. I mean, if it's handled from a mediation standpoint, a social behavior control standpoint, first of all, so the officers need to be adequately trained. Beyond that, there's probably a need for more guidance counselors and interventionists, behavioral interventionists in the schools, particularly at the middle and high school level.
Ms. Taylor, you have 45 seconds for your answer.
Thank you. I think the first thing that we have to do is to take a look at the rules as far as crimes in schools. At one point, there was a zero tolerance. And with the zero tolerance, unfortunately, it affected the minority kids more than it affected other children. So we have to make sure that there is equality and everybody is handled the same way. I think it benefits all of us to bring all of the stakeholders to the table when we work on trying to develop ways as to how to address the problem of crime, because it might be at the school, but it could start someplace else. So I think that's very important that we do that. But we must have all of the stakeholders, the school obviously, because they have their own police department, they have their own chief, would certainly probably be the ones leading, but then you have children and families, and you have other agencies that are also affected by what happens. So we must bring all of the stakeholders to the table.
Mr. Bernard, you have 45 seconds to answer the question.
Too many of our young boys and girls are being suspended, and especially black boys and girls. And so what we have to do is we have to reduce the suspension rates for our young black boys and our young black girls in Palm Beach County. And as a commissioner, I will work with our school board members in terms of reducing suspension rate in Palm Beach County, because a lot of our kids are being suspended for petty things, and so now that leads to other issues with them being at home or getting in trouble. So we have to work on reducing the suspension rates.
All right. Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal or response.
I think in most instances in life, the KISS rule is the best thing to do. Keep it simple. And I think the first thing we need to do is just simply ask the school board and their law enforcement team, what do you need? What can we do to help? I think that's the first thing we need to do. And once we've talked and identified the problem, if we can help within the rules without stepping on each other's toes or violating any ordinances or laws, then that's what we should proceed to do.
All right, Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds.
Again, I think we need the intervention. We probably need to, in the instances where it's absent, we probably need to get back to more physical education. It's amazing how much influence coaches have on kids from the elementary level up. So for the problems at the elementary level, you increase rather than decrease recreation time, PE time, and it's amazing that what kind of influence the coaches are going to have in decreasing, reducing what we call, or what you all call, crime rate in schools.
Ms. Taylor, you have 30 seconds.
One of the things that the county has done is that we have developed actually a youth department, And that youth department works directly with our young people, breaking down the barriers that might be presented from other organizations doing different things. We accepted the President's My Brother's Keepers initiative, which actually worked with our youth as far as trying to have mentoring programs. Again, I say that the only way that we can come to a way that we can solve the problem, I think we all have to work together, realizing that the school district would be the lead.
And Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds.
In order for us to address the crimes in our schools, we have to make sure some of our kids have summer employment in Palm Beach County. So as a commissioner, I will work to increase the employment for all of our youth in Palm Beach County, and for us to have internships at all county departments, and for us to increase apprenticeship throughout Palm Beach County.
All right. Let's go to our next question. It is from the Delray Beach Police Department from Chief Jeffrey Goldman. He asks, given the current nationwide heroin crisis and prevalence of the recovery industry in Palm Beach County, what will you do to help regulate the industry, preventing the so-called bad operators? Mr. Littles, we begin with you. You have 45 seconds to answer that question.
Well, I guess we can simply say, what are you going to do about sober houses? I think it's really incumbent. When I was in that business, it was really the role of the health department from a licensing standpoint and a policing and an enforcement standpoint to keep treatment facilities programs in check. So I think there needs to be tighter, better scrutiny from the health department, from the licensing agencies on the front end, where the screening of the potential or prospective operators is more adequately done. So it's a treatment, a rehab thing, as opposed to a money-making situation. And that, unfortunately, is what it's gotten to in Palm Beach County.
Ms. Taylor, you have 45.
Unfortunately, the sober homes are sprouting up every place, and Delray Beach is one of the main areas where they are. They're protected by the ADA, so we can't just go in there and say, well, you got to close up, because they are already protected by the American Disability Agency. So what we have to do is what we are doing is working with our federal legislators to try to get laws changed so that we can establish laws to regulate them better. Locally, I mean, with the State Department, Jeffrey Clemens actually passed a law that would allow us to give them some type of rating. But that really does not stop anyone from starting a sober home. So they need regulation. We can't regulate because of the ADA, so we have to support our federal law enforcement, law people.
Mr. Bernard, you have 45 seconds.
These sober homes are everywhere in Delray Beach. As I knock on doors, for basically every 4 houses you see a sober home. So we do have to deal with the sober home in Palm Beach County throughout the whole district. And the sober homes have actually impacted affordable housing in Palm Beach County because these sober home operators are taking up some of the residential units that our low-income household would be able to rent. And so Senator Clemens did pass the sober home legislation, and what we look forward is to work with him and our legislator in terms of dealing with the sober homes.
All right. Mr. Gordon, you have 45 seconds.
The addiction under the current laws is considered to be a disease. Therefore, they get the same protection under the American with Disabilities Act. But I do think that we may be throwing our hands up a little too quickly. What we've done in our city, we have passed an ordinance that applies to all buildings where people who are living together are not related. And what we said is, after a certain number, if there's a building where people are not living together, those buildings need to be at least 1,000 feet apart. Now, so far, that ordinance has not been tested, but we think it makes perfect sense. And we're not discriminating against everybody because we're saying it applies against anybody because we're saying it applies to every house that contains a certain number of unrelated people.
Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal or response.
Again, I think it's a matter of, to the extent legally permissible, regulations, monitoring, and enforcement. I mean, that's what it's going to get down to. Monitoring, regulating the number of homes that are allowed inside of a compressed area, and then monitoring them. If they get out of line, shut them down to the extent legally permissible.
Ms. Taylor, you have 30 seconds.
The county is working on it. As a matter of fact, we were the ones who actually got a hold of our Senator Clemens for the bill as far as dealing with our sober homes. They are protected by the ADA. Lois Frankel is looking as far as filing legislation this year to try to make sure that we get stronger regulations in place that the counties and local government can handle. But as it is right now, they are protected, and you just can't just go in and close them up, unfortunately.
Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds.
It is very important for us to work with our Congress, our federal legislators, and our state legislators, but also with the municipalities. And our League of Cities is something that we have to work with all the municipalities to address the sober home issues and for us to eliminate some of these bad operators and to remove them out of Palm Beach County.
Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds.
Yes, well, we do have to be careful about isolating or discriminating because they're sober homes. But I think the best approach is to have a universal thing that applies to everybody, not just sober homes. And I think if we consider looking at it that way, there's a possibility that we'll be able to come up with some rules that will hold up under the ADA. And the key is not discriminating, but treating everybody the same. And I think that's the way we need to look at it.
All right. Let's take a look at our next question, and that is from Kelly Smallridge again. She is asking, do you support the granting of government incentives to entice companies to move to Palm Beach County over another state or region? Ms. Taylor, we'll begin with you, 45 seconds.
I support it with protections, that if we give incentives, that they, one, declare that they're going to be in the area for X amount of time, that they also follow the guidelines that the county has with the local hire and SBE hire. We compete with other municipalities, other states every day, so in order for us to get the businesses here that we want, I think incentives are just necessary. But the best thing for the county to do, which we are already doing, is to make sure that we protect ourselves and our dollars by making sure that they stay in the county for 5 years and that they do the local hire that we require for all of the other county, jobs that we have, or business contracts that we have. It is important that we stay in the game if we're going to grow Palm Beach County jobs.
All right, we're going to take a quick break now, and we're going to continue with our questions in just a moment because that completes the broadcast portion of our debate. We will continue for another half hour live streaming on our website, CBS12.com. Remember to tune in August 30th for CBS 12 News for complete coverage of the primary race. I'm Liz Quirantes. Thank you for joining us. Welcome to the second half of the Palm Beach County Commission District 7 Democratic debate. If you still want to submit a question, tweet us using the hashtag CBS12Vote. Now, at the end of this half hour, you will see and hear each of the candidates' closing statements. Now, let's go back to the question that we were asking. Let's put it one more time on the screen. It's from Kelly Smallridge. She's asking, do you support the granting of government incentives to entice companies to move to Palm Beach County over another state or region? Mr. Bernard, we continue with you with 45 seconds.
I support providing incentives, but I do believe that the Business Development Board, we have to increase the diversity in the Business Development Board, because the last time I checked, we only had 2 board members who are minority. And so in order for us to bring businesses to Palm Beach County that affect the diversity of Palm Beach County, the board needs to be diversified, and also they need to focus on bringing minority, small, medium-sized, and large businesses to Palm Beach County.
All right, Mr. Gordon, you have 45 seconds to answer.
I think on occasion that incentives are something that should be considered, but it's not something that we should do willy-nilly. I think it should be a special company that's going to bring something new and exciting. And even under those circumstances, we need to make sure that we get a certain number of jobs, that they're going to be local hires, that they're going to be here for a certain number of years, 5, 10, whatever the decision might be. And we've got to hold their feet to the fire to make sure that they keep their word. Don't let them come in, like so often happens, 1 or 2 years and things fall apart. That doesn't work. Use it sparingly when it's absolutely necessary and make sure that everybody keeps their word.
Mr. Littles, you have 45 seconds.
You know, I would hope that the incentives being given now represent the results of research years ago that indicated that Palm Beach County needed to spend money in that kind of a way. Because it seems to me that with our climate, with the state having no state income tax, with all the pluses that Florida offers, that a whole lot of businesses would probably come here on their own. So I would probably be more in favor of new research being done to see just how well projectively we stack up against other states, regions in attracting businesses sans the incentives.
Ms. Taylor, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Okay, the county normally give tax credits with the type incentives that we do give, but I still feel that the incentives, it is a good opportunity for us to attract businesses here that we would not ordinarily get, but there still needs to be protections if they should leave, and this would have to be in any agreement or contract, that they give us our money back and that they abide by our rules and our laws with the local hire and the SBE hire and any other ordinance that we have that would govern those type contracts.
Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds.
It's very important for when we're providing incentives that they meet the requirement of, if they're going to provide, let's say 300 jobs, we need to make sure that the Department of Economic Sustainability, they will meet that threshold within a 5-year or whatever amount of period that they're going to meet that threshold. And we need to also include the diversity of the county in the agreement also, in terms of local hire, hiring union workers and all of that to improve our lives in Palm Beach County.
Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds.
As I said, I think it's something that should be used sparingly, and when we do decide to go down that road, the rules should be very specific and very clear so that everybody understands, so there'll be no problems down the road. And I think as close as possible, if we're going to give money, incentives, or whatever to a company, they're doing local hiring, and that local hiring should reflect the mix of our local economy. For example, in District 7, people of color are about 17%. So that would be an example, so forth and so on. So we just got to make sure that we hold their feet to the fire and that they keep their promises.
Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds.
You know, it's interesting that this question even popped up because incentives, you know, unless history is wrong, is really the brainchild, the food of Republicans. Here we are, a Democratic panel running for the county commission, and that question pops up. So again, for me, I don't think incentives should be used. I don't think it's necessary. And I certainly don't think it's necessary when the incentives that we provide invariably, more often than not, over and over, lead to racial discrimination in terms of hiring practices.
All right. Our next question is from a viewer. It's not going to be on the screen. I'll just read it from them. Lorenzo Ham is asking, as commissioner, what will be your agenda to forge an understanding between law enforcement and the community in which they protect and serve, especially within the black community after the shooting of an unarmed man in which the Palm Beach County sheriffs were involved? Mr. Bernard, we'll begin with you.
Well, if Corey Jones was white, he would still be alive today. So the issue of public safety in District 7, our community, is something that we have to address. And so as a commissioner, I will work with our law enforcement community and our faith-based community to improve the relationship, having community policing, so in that way we can improve the lives of our residents in Palm Beach County.
Mr. Gordon, you have 45 seconds.
Palm Beach County and District 7, we have a very diverse county, and we need to look at policing with that in mind. I think, first of all, the police force should reflect the mix of this county, whatever those numbers may be. And then secondly, I think we need to push very hard for community policing, where the officers come to the community, get out of their cars, have lunch with people, talk to people. How you doing? How's the new baby doing? Hey, tell me about the new dog, whatever's going on. And if we can get more of that kind of thing going on, combined with good, solid training, so our police officers will be accustomed to dealing with people from all walks of life, all races, all sexes, so forth and so on. And if we push in that direction, I think we'll see a lot of improvement.
Mr. Littles, you have 45 seconds.
Obviously, there needs to be community policing. Obviously, there needs to be diversity in the workforce, i.e., there should be more black minority officers, particularly on the sheriff department. Obviously, they need more training. But for me, the answer is to let the voters, the county commission, on a simple 4-3 vote, at minimal 4-3 vote, send the question to the voters in Palm Beach County. Do you want the sheriff to no longer be a constitutional officer and display his arrogance and racism over and over and over, or become a department head under the county commission through the county administrator? I want the voters to answer that question. It was done in Orange County, where they removed it as a constitutional officer, made him a department head. It can certainly be given to the voters here.
Ms. Taylor, you have 45 seconds.
As the county commissioner for District 7, I have held summits which encourage conversation between the residents of District 7 and law enforcement, not just from the sheriff's office, but from the other municipalities within the county. And I think in order for us to get the results that we want, we must continue that conversation. We need a conversation about law enforcement, about criminal justice reform, all of it. I just feel that with all that has happened, you know, we have the clergy who is involved. We have the Clergy Alliance and the churches, the ministers. They all want to be involved as we try to come up with a solution. But I think it's important that we have the conversation and everybody have some input as to what we expect from our law enforcement officers.
Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal or response.
I believe that the sheriff's office, they need to have a community relations person that is of color to be in all of the municipalities to address the needs of our community, because this is a very diverse community in terms of blacks. You have Haitians, Jamaicans, Caribbeans, African Americans, and so the sheriff's office need to have a community, someone that would address all of the needs of the county.
Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds.
Our police force has to be reflective of our society at large. I was talking with a gentleman who works for the sheriff department not too long ago. He's an African American, and he happens to be a lieutenant. And he was telling me that there were 4,000 employees with the sheriff department, and only 6 are lieutenant or higher. That shouldn't be. We've got to make changes. Have those departments reflect our neighborhoods, reflect our counties, and I guarantee you that things will get better.
Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds.
You know, let's be real. The commissioner believes in symposiums, talk, which amounts to nothing but feel-good meetings. She has symposiums and meets with the sheriff, and he's literally told her and the county commission to take a flying leap because he's going to do it the way he wants to do it. He's not going to downgrade casual marijuana use. And so, again, for me, I think it's a matter of asking the voters, how do we want to ultimately deal with the sheriff in Palm Beach County?
Ms. Taylor, you have an extra 30 seconds. You have 1 minute for rebuttal and redirect.
Thank you. I keep hearing sheriff. The sheriff does not have jurisdiction over this entire county. It's the unincorporated areas and certain areas who have contracted with the sheriff to actually have jurisdiction over them. So it is not, the entire county. So when someone just talks about the sheriff, you're really not answering the question that was asked. The question was about law enforcement and how do we deal with it in our community. And in order to do that, whether Mr. Little's feel good, and I guess I gave him another 30 seconds, but whether it's feel good or not,
you did.
It has gotten results. And that's what we need in our community. It doesn't matter who starts the conversation, but there has to be a conversation. You have the President of the United States who established a task force. And that task force was not just a sheriff. It was made up of many different people, and not just Democrats, but Republicans too, because everyone recognizes that there needs to be a conversation in order for us to solve this problem.
Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds to respond.
Yeah, I was always taught to deal with a problem, you start at the hardest part of the problem. I understand there's more than the sheriff as law enforcement agency in Palm Beach County, but the preponderance of the negative activity meted out upon black people and minority people in Palm Beach County comes from the sheriff department. Not Raju in Palm Beach Gardens, not West Palm, not Delray, but the areas that the sheriff department patrols. So that's the attack. That's where the attack point needs to be, at the sheriff department, and I guarantee you the local departments will fall in line.
All right, let's go to our next question. This is from Chuck Shaw, once again, the school board chair. The growth we are now seeing in our schools is positive, but also causes some issues. How can the county ensure that schools are constructed as part of large development, both with land set aside and with buildings? Mr. Gordon, we'll begin with you. 45 seconds.
Unfortunately, our good governor made that very difficult to do with these different laws and rules that have been passed. In the old days, when these big developers built these mega developments in smaller cities, they had to contribute to all of the things that came along with it. Extra roads, extra schools, so forth, and those kind of things. Now, it's been reduced to what's called a pro rata share, and pretty much within their confines. So it's very, very difficult to do. As a matter of fact, most of that has been shifted to us, meaning the taxpayers. So we have got to find a way to put more pressure on these developers to do their fair share of everything that needs to be done. Otherwise, we're going to continue to go down that slippery slope towards more trouble.
Mr. Littles, you have 45 seconds.
I think the county commission, in light of what Lawrence has just said and the governor's action, I think the county commission has to take proactive action to encourage the voters to, first of all, get democratic control of the legislature. Both sides, the House and the Senate, and weaken the governor's hand, quite frankly, because it's his power, his stroke, that moved it away from it as we formally required developers to construct schools or contribute significantly toward that construction. That's only going to change when the legislation changes, and that's on us. So the county should make a serious effort to increase, to improve changing the legislation and get it back in democratic control.
Ms. Taylor, you have 45 seconds.
Thank you. We did have school concurrency, and as it was mentioned, I'm assuming that's what he's talking about, it went away. But the schools have their own buildings. They're the ones that determine where they want a school. The county can't not just go in there. They do their hiring of contractors for their school buildings. They have their own programs. The county might help them if they come to the county, but we do not make that decision. So I feel that it's incumbent upon us to work together, because we know a lot of charter schools are coming up, and which sometimes leads to private schools because they're in communities, where we don't have a mix as we would at a normal place where we have the public schools. But I do think it is something that would be led by the school district, and I have not seen the county not want to work with the school district to get anything accomplished.
Mr. Bernard, you have 45 seconds.
It must be a requirement for the developers to pay the fair share of the growth for the schools. But I believe that it is also important for us to build more affordable housing for our families in Palm Beach County. And as your commissioner, I will work on creating more affordable housing, workforce housing for our residents in Palm Beach County, because the residents who are leaving Palm Beach County are making an average salary of about $60,000 a year, but the people who are moving to Palm Beach County make over $90,000. So more affordable housing are needed in Palm Beach County.
Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds for a rebuttal.
I think, as I said earlier, we've just got to push. We've got to get together with the school board, figure out what the needs are. Those things that the county commission can do, we should do, and that's in conjunction with the school board.
Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds.
To the extent legally permissible, perhaps the county needs to look at taking legal action, if possible, against the governor, at least testing it, so we can get back to concurrency. Because it doesn't matter that the school district can build schools or determine where the schools are built. If a developer comes in here and builds 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 homes, and kids are going to follow, but now the school district they've got to pay the cost to be the boss. And so
Thank you.
that's not going to solve the problem.
Ms. Taylor, you have 30 seconds.
It is still incumbent upon us to work together. The school district, their commissioners and the county commissioners would have to work together to come up with a plan. Once concurrency left, developers, they don't have to build schools in areas. And so in view of that fact, we have to work together in order to make it work.
Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds.
We need a new Democratic governor in 2018 in the state of Florida, and so we need to bring back Department of Community Affairs so in that way to address the concurrency issue. But to go back into, we have to build more affordable housing in Palm Beach County, and so that's why I'm proposing for us to create a housing czar that would address the housing needs of all of our families, specifically our minority community.
All right, thank you. Let's go to our next question now. It's from Ray Whiteley, and he is asking, research clearly indicates a disparity in academic achievement with respect to race, family wealth, and gender. Will you support current efforts to invest in a high-quality child care system that works for everyone and makes child care affordable and available for both middle-class families and underpaid families with guaranteed support for all working families that need it? Mr. Littles, you have 45 seconds to answer this question.
Absolutely, I'll support it. I'd probably go a bit further and take a critical look at whether that child care that will be coming should really be made available through the school system. I mean, we have after-school programs. We ought to have some weekend school programs. There are districts around the country that do that. So certainly I would support it, and I would encourage that maybe child care should be offered through the school district. I'm certain it could be offered at a much lower price than what parents are paying now. At $75, $85 a week per kid.
Ms. Taylor, you have 45 seconds.
Yeah, it's incumbent upon us to support our families and the children of these families. That is one reason why we started the youth department with Palm Beach County, because it broke down the barriers and we all worked together to try to achieve the same common goal, which is education and the welfare of the families and the children. So as far as what the county is doing, and here we go back again, though, we have to all work together. You know, everybody can't just say the county does this and the county does that. We must work together in order to achieve this. You have Children's Services, which is a special taxing district. You have the school system. You have all of these other agencies, which we should work together to make these things happen. And the county is doing that with our Youth Services Department.
Mr. Bernard, you have 45 seconds.
Absolutely, we need to support child care services in Palm Beach County. As a kid who grew up in our Palm Beach County school system, you know, I grew up here in Palm Beach County, and I have 2 daughters who attend our public school system. So early childhood education is something that is key, and for us to fund it at every level at the county or at the Children's Services and at the state and federal level, because we need more early childhood education in Palm Beach County.
Mr. Gordon, you have 45 seconds.
The answer is absolutely yes. It's very difficult and very expensive to live here in Palm Beach County, and it's very difficult not to have both parents working in families, and that's more the norm than the exception. And the cost of traditional child care can be quite expensive. Sometimes it really doesn't make economic sense when you figure out what they're actually spending for it. So we need to step in and help whenever we can and make sure that kids get off to a good start, good nutrition, and not just the beginning of the day, but also at the end of the day. That 3 or 4 hours when school ends and parents get home. There's an organization called Primetime. I've been on that board for quite a few years. And that's what it focuses on, making sure kids have something to do between 3 and 6, stay out of trouble, something positive.
Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds.
Yeah, again, I said, you know, I support it, but, you know, let's take a look at whether what's probably contributing to at least a little bit to the problem. The county once ran Head Start. Head Start basically essentially took care of black folks, minority folks, poor folks, kids, early childhood education. The county decided in its infinite wisdom during the past 6 years to farm it out, privatize it, if you would, and give it to the Lutheran Church. I don't know if the Lutheran Church has any real positive history as it relates to African American kids, and that's who Head Start started. Served.
Ms. Taylor, it's you now have 30 seconds.
I agree that we need to make sure that our children are taken care of. I do feel that with the organizations working together as they do now, you know, just like this summer, you have the feeding of the children at the different schools. You work with parents, which is things that's happening right now. We must continue because, you know, it is just incumbent upon us to make sure that our kids receive the best education and have all of the tools necessary for them to succeed.
Mr. Bernard, you have 30 seconds for your rebuttal.
It is very important for us to make sure that our kids are fed. And so as a commissioner, I want to address hunger in Palm Beach County because a lot of our kids are hungry and in the morning, and so we have to address that.
All right, Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds.
I think it is a very serious situation, serious issue. We should take it very seriously. We should all try and come together, whether it's the local, county, and federal, to do whatever we can, because there is no doubt that the future of this county and every other county is our children. We should get them off to a good start, make sure they get what they need so that we can go forward in a positive manner.
All right. Our next question is from Twitter. It's from Corey Nearing. And it's a short question, but it's a big question. What is the top issue facing the district? Ms. Taylor, you have 45 seconds. The top issue facing the district.
Jobs and affordable housing go together.
You have 45 seconds if you want to elaborate.
Well, you know, we need to have more jobs. I mean, we're just coming off a recession, which took us down. The county lost 400 and something positions. We didn't have money to give raises. And we couldn't do the things that we normally would have done as far as jobs. So we need jobs in District 7. I want to see us encourage more small businesses. In order to do that, we need to have grants or some other mechanism to get money to them. But jobs and then affordable housing, to me, goes together because you've got to be able to afford the home, and we need to work on all of that. To me, those are the big things that we need to work on here in Palm Beach County.
Mr. Bernard, top issue facing the district.
The top issue that's facing the district is our education system. We have to make sure that our kids are getting a quality education in Palm Beach County, and then for us to create the right jobs for them in Palm Beach County. But those jobs need to also have minority participation, local preference, apprenticeship, and internship opportunities for our kids. And also, we do need to address the affordable housing in Palm Beach County. And finally, public safety, confidence in our police officers, and the community relationships between police and our citizens.
Mr. Gordon, top issue facing the district, 45 seconds.
I think it's a combination of a livable wage and housing. We definitely need more jobs that pay much better than what they're paying now. And we have a very serious problem as far as housing goes. There was a recent study done by Harvard in terms of affordability. And they ranked areas from 1 being the worst all the way up to the 350 plus being the best place in terms of affordability. New York City is in the 80s. West Palm Beach is number 7. So we are less affordable than New York. That is absolutely insane, and we need to address this. $1,500 average for a one-bedroom apartment, $25,000 for a house. We cannot sustain this. We have got to stop this. So those are our two biggest problems.
Mr. Littles, top issue facing the district, you have 45 seconds.
Facing District 7, economic participation. Across the board, up and down the ladder. Because with adequate, equitable economic participation, getting our percentage of the job, getting more than that 1.5% of the millions or billions of dollars that the county spends. You know, if folks in District 7 participated equitably, economically, we could afford to buy more homes. We could afford to get our kids a better education. We could afford to perhaps pay teachers a better salary, particularly at the starting level. Economic participation is the key because it's the springboard into everything, into a new home or buying an old home, and better taking care of our children.
Ms. Taylor, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Jobs and affordable housing, to me, are the #1 issue, together.
All right, Mr. Bernard, 30 seconds.
The affordable housing situation in Palm Beach County is getting out of hand. And so what we have to do is we have to have this housing czar where their #1 focus will be housing in Palm Beach County, more affordable housing for families, more affordable housing for seniors, and more an ALF in Palm Beach County to address the needs of our residents.
Mr. Gordon, you have 30 seconds.
I think we need to get this housing situation under control. Young teachers, young police officers, young firemen, these are the people who basically hold our society together. If you talk to anybody who's successful and you ask them who are the top 5 people in their lives, almost always they're going to include a teacher. And here, teachers can't afford to live here. They're driving from Port St. Lucie. We have got to fix this.
Mr. Littles, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Again, economic participation. For me, one of the critical things I want to look at over the next 4 years is, to the extent legally possible, how can a county commission assist the school district in increasing starting salaries for teachers? I'd like to see that number at $60,000. That's going to allow more kids from Palm Beach County go off to college and come back here, and we're going to get the cream of the crop in terms of teachers.
All right, and that concludes the question and answer portion of our show. Now we will begin closing statements, and each candidate will have 90 seconds. The first candidate to begin the closing statements is Mr. Littles, and we will go in reverse order after that. Mr. Littles, you may begin your closing statements. You have 90 seconds.
Let me thank Channel 12 for having us. I'm running for the County Commission, the District 7 seat, because I'm just fed up with the ineffective, the inappropriate, the inefficient service that has been provided to the district by the sitting commissioner. The commissioner believes in symposium and talking. I believe in doing. I was an elected official for only 2 years in West Palm Beach. And if you evaluate politicians per the classical historical way, how much bacon did you bring home to the people? In less than 2 years, to black folks in West Palm Beach, black business people, I delivered $39.7 million worth of business and participation. The commissioner and all of the candidates up here together can't match that number. So I believe in, I'm running because I want to see black folks, minority folks, disenfranchised folks in Palm Beach County, specifically in District 7 and the Glades, if you would, get better representation. I don't think we've got it for the last 6.5 years. On August 30th, I'd appreciate your support and your vote. A vote for Littles is an absolute vote for a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Littles. Mr. Gordon, you have 90 seconds for your closing statement.
Thank you. We have spent the last hour talking about all of the problems that we currently have in Palm Beach County and District 7. And we're talking about the problems that we currently have under this sitting commission. We've talked about housing, slow job growth, low wages, unemployment, lack of opportunities for our youth. That's what we've been talking about for the last hour under this current commission. And the only way that we're going to make a change is to change the people. We're growing at about 1.09%. Broward, Tampa, Orlando, they're all near 4 and 5%. And the only difference is the people who are running the show. We all have nice sun, beaches, so forth and so on. So we need to make a change at the top. Change this commission so we can make some progress. I have lived in District 7 for 20 years. I care, I'm committed, and I have the courage to make the tough decisions. I would like to be your next Palm Beach County Commissioner, District 7. A vote for Lawrence Gordon is a vote for positive change.
Thank you, Mr. Gordon. Mr. Bernard, you have 90 seconds for your closing statement.
Our current county commissioner is not doing enough for the residents of District 7. She is not moving quickly to address the needs of the residents in District 7. The disparity study has taken over 4 years to do a disparity study. And also we've missed major opportunities in terms of scripts, Major League Baseball, even the discussions regarding the sales tax initiative. The current commissioner had the opportunity to include in the language for us to have minority participation, local preference for our residents in District 7, and the commissioner failed on those issues. I'm running for commissioner because I want to be your on-the-job commissioner to address the needs of the whole commission. The current commissioner just wants to keep this job, and we don't need someone who just wants to keep the job. We need someone who wants the job and who is going to serve the residents of District 7.
Thank you, Mr. Bernard. Ms. Taylor,
Thank you.
90 seconds.
I'm running for re-election to this seat because I have worked tirelessly for the people of District 7. I have heard each of these gentlemen say the things that they have, but I can tell you when I was talking about everything that they are saying that they want to do, which I am already doing, I never saw either one of them at any of the meetings voicing any type of a disagreement or any type of a suggestion as to how it could be made better. I am proud of what I have done for District 7 because I have been out here working and being very responsive to every individual within District 7. I have people from all over the county calling my office asking us for assistance with different things, and we do it. We don't care race or color, we don't care, we take care of it. I have worked for affordable housing. I have worked for our youth, having symposiums, which I still feel are good things for our county. I have worked for criminal justice reform. When I came back from Tallahassee, when I was in the legislature, I came out and started working on the restoration of civil rights so that we can remove the barriers so that the individuals who are affected by this could get jobs. And not only did I do that, I also worked on the reentry program to try to get it where our young people can get out of the revolving door and so that they can get jobs. So I tell you, I feel proud of what I have done here in Palm Beach County. I would love to have the opportunity to come back to continue the work that I have started. I have one other term that I can run, and I would appreciate the support and vote on August 30th.
All right. Thank you to each and every one of you for participating in our debate and sharing your platforms, your beliefs, and your passions. And that completes the debate for tonight. Remember to tune in August 30th to CBS 12 News for complete coverage of the primary race. I'm Liz Quirantes. Thank you for joining us.